Linda, and this is episode 4 of my YouTube channel. I'm from Beeutiful Fibers, and this time I'm going to talk to you about items that I made during the month of August 2025 that were not related to prompts sponsored by Angela of Yarn and Yarn's YouTube podcast. I've been following Angela for about 2-3 years, and this is the first year that I participated in her make-along, and I have to tell you that I'm having a wonderful time. So let's get started. This is a pattern that I talked about, I think, a month ago. This is the Hogsmeade hat pattern, and it is by AuntyKaren Knits. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. This is great. It uses super bulky yarn. This particular yarn is by Lion Brand. I talked about this in a previous episode. So I just made another hat. As you recall, I have 2 more skeins, I think, partial green, and I have a dark gray, and I think a silver. And you'll be happy to know, or at least I'm happy, that I contracted that job out to my son. He normally knits for me once a year for our annual scarf drive, and I just have like a lot of things on my plate right now, so I kindly requested that he do it for me, and he said, yeah, sure, no problem. So we'll see. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that he'll carry through. So that was one of the first things that I finished, and hopefully I'll have 2 more coming, but they won't be made by me. The second thing, the next few things that I'm going to talk about are not things that I necessarily made during August, but they were things that I finished up during August. I made these over the course of a few months over the summer. As I mentioned in a previous episode, I also enjoy weaving. I have a few looms, but one of my favorite looms is a 15-inch rigid heddle cricket loom by Shack. I love that little guy. It's wonderful. It's very portable. I have something on it currently. Hopefully I'll have it off by the end of September, so that I can talk about the loom and the items that I have woven on it. But anyway, here are some things that I made on that loom in particular. This is a scarf. I made this as a child's scarf. It's child size. This yarn was really nice. This is Vanna's Tapestry yarn, and the color is, I think it's called Great Britain. When I looked it up, apparently Vanna's Tapestry has several different colorways named after the different countries, and this one is called Great Britain, and it's basically a variegated yarn, and I took the same yarn and I used it as both warp and weft, and it just made like a lovely children's scarf. So it would be great for girl or boy, it doesn't matter. It's just a very lovely scarf. I tend to make fringe, twisted fringe edges. I just happen to like the look. For me, it's very relaxing just to work on it, and you'll find on most of my scarves that's what I do. There are a few exceptions, but for the most part, I do twisted fringe. The next scarf that I want to talk about, oh, by the way, that one's just plain weave. It's just going over, under, over, under, over, under, over. So that's what they call plain weave. And the second one is also called plain weave. This is by, this yarn is called Soft and Shiny. It's by Loops and Threads, which I think is sold by Michaels. It's a Michaels brand, and it's a highly mercerized yarn. It is soft and it is shiny. All of these have been washed. I like it. I thought it came out really nice. I'm hesitating because I did have a problem with the part of it fraying here, and I ended up having to put in an extra warp thread to help it along. It could have been just this particular skein, not the yarn in particular. I do have other yarn of this brand that I'm going to try, so I can let you know if that's the same thing. I like this because I used 2 different colors. One was lavender. I used that as the warp, and then I used a variegated yarn as the weft, and I just thought it turned out really nicely. So that'll be a nice adult scarf. And once again, I did twisted fringe. The third scarf that I finished up, this yarn is Red Heart. It's Red Heart Super Saver. This was leftover yarn from some of my mother's projects. I think I spoke about that in a previous episode, that my mom is a crocheter, and she will crochet scarves, and then once she runs out, once she finishes her scarf, there's like bits and pieces left over, and she's not necessarily sure she's going to get the same dye lot. So I tend to take those leftover ones and I'll use them in woven scarves. So this one, the light is blowing it out. It's a very pale pink and a very pale yellow. Oops. It's hard to see. This is also done in a houndstooth pattern, which is a pattern in weaving where you'll have it's 4 threads alternating up and down. It's very subtle. Normally the houndstooth pattern is done with highly contrasted yarns, but I wanted a more subtle look. I thought this would be just a nice little soft feminine touch. You know, I just like that. And the 4th scarf that I worked on, it's not woven, it's crocheted. I did mention that crochet is not my favorite, but I do crochet on occasion. This scarf, I really had a great time crocheting this. It went very quickly. All of the yarn is from my stash. It's just a striped yarn. This time I did not twist the fringe, I just left it, but I trimmed it. I got the idea for this scarf, the idea and the pattern actually, she's a young YouTuber and her name is Mijanou, and her YouTube channel is called Ikoxun. I will leave it in my show notes. She's a lovely young woman and she's a wonderful crafter, and she shares her ideas, her plans, her patterns very openly. And I borrowed from her. I jotted down her pattern. I used my own color yarns, but I sort of closely aligned with her color choices, and I just thought this was lovely. It's a variety of acrylic yarns, not necessarily one name brand, just a variety, but it's already been washed, everything's great, and it was just a lovely pattern to work on, and it was very quick. I finished this in a couple days, and it was great because it's all double crochet. If you're a crocheter, it's all double crochet, so I could basically do maybe 6 or 8 rows a day, and it went so quickly that I was able to get it done without having any problems with my wrist. So, I don't have a lot this time, but my last thing that I worked on is, of course, my little knit-along, my little gnome. This is my monthly gnome that I've been working on once a month. The pattern is by Sarah Shearer. It's called No Fun Like Gnome Fun, and once again, using leftover sock yarn. I tried to make this gnome a little bit like Santa with a red suit, and I gave him like a little black belt along here. I think I probably should have put the belt up a teeny bit higher, but I think you get the general gist of it. I thought he was sort of cute. Yeah. So that is actually everything that I finished up or worked on during September, other than what I spoke about previously. But I do have like a little teeny bit of information to share about me personally. I recently went back to school. Of course, I'm the oldest one in the class, but the students are lovely, and I am studying Adobe Photoshop. And it is such a wonderful experience just to get in a classroom again and just to get my brain cells working. It's very nice. For me, learning this program is a very steep learning curve. However, I'm enjoying it immensely, especially since I learned how to use this special tool called the clone stamp tool, in which you can wipe out things that you don't want. So I think that I can use that tool to go back on my old photos and just wipe out my little touches of gray here and there. I'm looking forward to that. Anyway, that's all that I have to talk about this week. I will share some photos of this at the end of the YouTube, at the end of this program, and I will hope to talk to you again in the next month. Thank you, and bye.